What is up, guys? I do hope you're well, and welcome to another video from the r/DaddyCringe subreddit. If you would like your story shared, don't forget to post it on r/DaddyCringe. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even the notification bell. And let's get started. Now we have a story from Squishy Lover 21. I don't care if you have chickenpox, get in the fucking pool. Okay, so this is one of my first memories. I was probably 3 or 4 because we hadn't moved in with my dad yet. I remember it because it was burned into my brain, because my skin felt like it was literally on fire and I was bawling my eyes out for hours. Not just blubbering and making noise like toddlers do, but actual physical tears, chest heaving and feeling like I was going to die. Don't judge me, I was a tiny kid. Anyway, here's the story. So my mum and her parents decided to take me to a holiday park called Center Parks. If you haven't gone, it's amazing. They do archery, bike riding, laser tag, and really cool rope climbing zipline thing. It is an awesome place, I will tell you that now. I've been there. It was for a stag do, but it was still awesome because I'm a big kid. I know I was pretty young because this was long before my dad tried to teach me to swim and all that went down. Anyway, from what I remember, my mum decided that we were all going swimming the second day that we were there. I remember feeling a little rough in the drive there, and by the time we were going swimming, I felt absolutely awful. Turned out I had chickenpox. But my mum wasn't just going to let me stay in the lodge with her dad, because we're a family, and we're going to have fun as one. I was a fairly quiet, obedient little kid, so I just did as I was told, figuring I could just stay out by the side of the pool with my grandparents, since they just like to read. My mum didn't like that idea and screamed at me to get in the fucking pool, which I did because she's my mum, and although my grandma told her not to scream at me like that, she was more concerned with getting us all drinks. I had a few spots, and a few seconds later I walked into the pool. My skin started tingling, quickly turning into more painful prickling, feeling that was kinda like a bad sunburn. I'm a ginger, so sunburn happens a lot to me. All I remember is running out of the pool, making a whimpering sound that turned into full sobbing, which then turned into screaming as the pain kept getting worse and worse. My mum was screaming at me to shut up and how I was embarrassing her, but I could barely hear anything over my own crying and just complete hysteria at the pain. My grandma pushed my mum out of the way and started trying to talk to me, but I was just out of it at that point. My mum kept screaming, but I just wasn't hearing her anymore. I felt horrible about making such a noise and ruining the day, but I was in so much pain. I don't remember a ton after that except pain. My grandma eventually getting me home and running me a lukewarm bath with some white powder in it that suddenly made the pain dull to the point where I was just quietly whimpering. I stayed in the bath for what felt like hours and refused to leave. My mum eventually pulling me out so we could go out for dinner, but the burning quickly returned and she just screamed that I was ruining her life while my grandma got me back in the bath. I don't really remember a ton of what happened after that because I was pretty sick. I vaguely remember a doctor looking over me and saying it was a pretty bad case. My mum still moans about how I ruined her first proper holiday due to my selfishness, even though I'm currently 20 years old. I feel bad about making such a fuss, but she did make me go in the pool, so I don't think I'm completely at fault. I guess I just don't have good luck with water. Oh my word. I'm assuming you're still living with your mum? Because that is absolutely crazy. That's real selfish to force you to get in the pool and then blame you for screaming when you come back out. Clearly knowing you're in pain. You can tell when a child's in pain. When they scream in a certain way, you know they're in pain. I know like a lot of toddlers and stuff put a lot of things on when they fall over and bump their knee and they try and get a plaster even though they're not cut and all this kind of crap. But when a child is proper in pain, you can tell, and it's a horrible thing to see. So for your mum to actually say shut up and that you're embarrassing her, it's ridiculous. But thank God your grandma was there because obviously she's some sort of hero. You must love her a lot, I can tell from the way you're writing about her. But yeah, that is a crazy story, and chickenpox ain't no joke, man. Thank you very much for sharing that story, Squishy Lover. Much love. Next we have a story from Scarmedy. Excuse me if I got it wrong. My dad is just wow. Throughout my life, I've noticed how much of a prick my father is. And I don't mean that slap on the wrist and threatening manner of an arsehole. I mean the beat the shit out of you and act as if you're the king of everyone else type of arsehole. That is the worst kind of arsehole. Did I mention that he's a supervisor at a Whole Foods store? To put it into context, I will type everything I remember or what my brother and mum remember what he did to me. Also, he treats everyone this way. This isn't fake, so don't even try to say I made this shit up. Before I was born, what my mum remembers, my name was supposed to be Benjamin, but my dad thought that was the name of a boyfriend my mum had, even though she'd never met anyone else. Elementary school, my POV, I think I stopped liking my dad in 3rd grade. One day, I brought my brother's DS into school to play with, because I was too damn lazy to bring mine for some reason. I had a friend over there who wanted to borrow it for the rest of the day, and me being the naive child, I gave it to him. When my brother found out, he cried as if I sold that shit and snitched on me. What was the most reasonable thing my dad could do in that situation? Stomp on my DS until he smashed it in half, of course. After crying my eyes out, I ran over to my mum in her room. She calmed me down. I then told her that I'm scared of what's-his-face, and then when he heard, he went and screamed at me again for saying that too. The ironic and yet dumb fucking part was that my friend gave it back to me the next day. Yeah, Dr. Evil wasted his time for nothing. Shake my head. Another time, I was graduating from elementary school and I said, I hope I graduate, because I didn't know how graduations work. He then, in an attitude, said something along the lines of, what do you mean you hope you graduate? Of course you'll graduate. After graduating, my family went to Zedburger that opened up to go celebrate. Apparently, he wasn't happy that my brother didn't get the same awards as me. Like, what the fuck? Needless to say, my mum was pissed when he said that. He would also beat me and my brother with a belt for telling someone that we went fishing. I still don't know why he said not to tell anyone. What my brother remembers, one time I told my mum in pretty much a cheery manner I brushed my teeth. After hearing that, the arsehole had the audacity to say, and what? You expecting a trophy? I then walked off quietly, not even 5 seconds after hearing that. Fucker. Middle school? Damn. This is where he went way too far. I remember how he would treat me like shit, even more than what he did in elementary school. One time, I was taking a pill to go to sleep, and I grabbed the gallon of water in a cup. He then saw this as me trying to watch TV. He gave me a lecture on not trying to be slick and watch TV when I take my medicine. I'm sorry, what the fuck? After understanding what he did, I did the exact thing, only this time I wasn't looking at the TV. This sent him in a fit of rage and he screamed, "What did I tell you?" I then jumped up and let out a yelp and ran into the kitchen where he cornered me and fucking gripped the back of my neck. Then he got up in my face and said with so much anger, "What the fuck did I tell you?" He then threw me past him and just screamed at me and ran after me to hurry up and take my medicine and brush my teeth. My 11-year-old self couldn't stop crying for a little while at night. The next day was what I didn't understand. He said he did all that because he wanted me to be a fucking winner, not a fucking loser. Other than that, he would come home drunk as hell or give me drunk talks. Shortly after my sister was born, he started to act a tiny bit better. Too late, bitch. Damage already done. High school. Now. As of now, he's still a prick. On Father's Day, he texted me and it said, "Happy Father's Day would be nice." I completely forgot Father's Day even existed and didn't know it was on a specific day, so I replied with, "Oh sorry, Happy Father's Day." Then he texted me, "I can see your brother doesn't give a shit about me. Nice to know." After showing my mum those texts, she called, and of course, he's drunk. After some arguments and vacation to Florida, I heard from my mum that he called some poor white girl a racist bitch. He's now questioning if my siblings and I are his kids, and that we don't love him, and blah blah blah. Well, now he's living on his own, and my mum is planning on making him pay child support and divorcing him. Hopefully I can now rest since we moved, and we finally get away from his crazy ass. Thanks for reading, and I hope the bastard will go to hell for treating his family like shit. Damn, that just sounds like a really sad situation. Some of the things some of the things I was reading, I think, is it really that bad? But then when he cornered you and gripped you on the fucking back of the neck and shouting in your face and that sort of stuff, I'm sure there's more stuff in between as well, but fucking hell. It just sounds like a really shitty situation that a family's like falling apart. And I hope there is some light at the end of the tunnel for you, my dude, because that's not a great way. If the father really is as toxic as you're saying he is, then fuck, you just got to cut that out, man, because you guys need to move on and stick together as a family unit. Don't let it play on your mind too much. Move on, my brother. Now to mix things up a bit, we're going to have a little petty revenge. This story is from Raven Arts. So you think it's better for my 8-year-old son to watch it? even though it's not kid friendly, just because it's a cartoon. Okay, have fun finding the remote. First, some backstory. Sorry it's long, but it will help you understand what I have to deal with and why I did what I did. For many, many, many years, I lived in a Chinese household with my husband and later our son. The reason we were even there is because in Chinese culture, it's very common for grown children and their spouses, kids, and even great-grandkids to live with their parents in order to make sure the house is maintained and the elders are well taken care of. I had no problem with this. I'm Hispanic and we have the same tradition. No, the problem we all had was/is the walking hemorrhoid that is my father-in-law, and the penultimate EP. Father-in-law is, in the simplest terms, an entitled, narcissistic arsehole with OCD, and has been for as long as anyone can remember. Mother Teresa would have bitch slapped him. With no sense of respect or boundaries, no understanding of privacy or personal property, no hygiene, his room was the stuff of nightmares, and, in my mother-in-law's words, has the manners of a rabid goat. Basically, he's the guy who, when you order an extra large pizza for 5 people, will take most of it and just leave one slice each for everybody else. He actually did that once. Oh mate, I'm getting triggered with that shit already. I just picture me with one slice of pizza. God help us. Father-in-law was loud, bossy, controlling. He liked to say things like, if you don't cut my/your son's hair, it's long and he likes it that way, I'll take his name off the will. Or, long hair will cause eye infection and he will go blind. And my favourite, you don't love your son, you're a bad mother. The last statement was because I wouldn't let father-in-law give my son a huge bag of McDonald's food, which had 3 large fries, 4 cheeseburgers, 2 quarter pounders, 20 nuggets and 3 Big Macs for dinner, plus a £1 bar of chocolate. Why he thought a 7-year-old would be able to eat all that is beyond me. I let my son just have one of the cheeseburgers and a small fries, but he also had to eat a homemade salad. He treated his wife like shit and us like we were stupid and expected us to blindly do whatever he told us. This was because he, for some reason, thought we couldn't escape and thought we could get away with his shitty behaviour. And he didn't want us to leave. Ever. My husband and I have our own business and enough money saved to get our own place. We stayed to help with whatever needed to be done, and we paid for all of our own stuff and some of theirs too. I love my husband for his loyalty to family, but living with father-in-law was like having a combo of a root canal without painkiller and a brain freeze. Oof. Now on to my story. This happened when my son, husband and myself were still living with his parents. My son and I were in the living room watching Animal Planet, some show about newborn kittens, just minding our own business, when father-in-law, who has no manners, no tact and zero boundaries, came in, took the remote from me, and in a loud and heavily accented English, he's Chinese, I'm not, informs me he needs to watch cartoons. Cartoons are much better for grandson. He then proceeds to channel surf to find cartoon. This really pissed me off and drives me nuts because he does this to not just me, but everybody in the household. He will routinely come into the living room, night or day, morning or evening, take the remote from whoever's there, sometimes right out of your hand, and change the channel. Doesn't matter if you were there first or if you're in the middle of a show. He does exactly as he pleases, without thought or consequence. Me and my husband have had more than one fight with him about this behaviour, and that's not something we want our son to learn. But luck, or more accurately, karma, was on my side that night, because my father-in-law, one of the most hypocritically prudish people I know, well, he managed to find an adult cartoon, The Haunted World of El Supernito? For your information, lol, for my son to watch. No, I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to look that up after to see what this is about. I'd seen this movie before, so I knew exactly what was coming. The smile on my face would have rivaled the Cheshire Cat. So, being the petty, vindictive bitch I am, and completely at my bullshit saturation point, I decided to teach him a little lesson, and getting a little petty revenge at the same time. So, while he wasn't looking, I stealthily snatched up the remote and hid it, then sat back and watched the show. Even better, my father-in-law managed to put it on just before the velvet non-black striptease scene. Anyone who's seen this movie knows that scene. As the movie progressed, my father-in-law got the greatest look of dawning horror I've ever seen, then frantically started searching for the remote, his face tomato red with mortification and panic. I actually fell off the couch, clutching my stomach, laughing my butt off. I was laughing so hard I cried. My kid, who was 8 at the time and had secretly watched the movie behind my back on Netflix, was on the floor with me laughing. When my husband came home a few minutes later, my father-in-law angrily told him what had happened. Didn't even deny snatching the remote. Somehow, don't quite know how, it was all my fault that he'd put that cartoon on. This last comment resulted in hubby laughing on the floor with us. Even my mother-in-law, who rarely laughs, found this hysterical. This happened 4 years ago, and we still laugh about it. Note, we finally moved out a few months after this incident. I'd wanted to move out for years. Who wouldn't? But my husband felt he needed to take care of them until my father-in-law went too far. Father-in-law called Child Protective Services on us because we had gotten our son a new, solid wood loft bed, $2,000, that he believed contained formaldehyde that was poisoning his grandson. We tested it. It didn't. When father-in-law told him this, CPS told him buying new furniture for a child isn't considered child abuse, and hung up. Next, he tried to buy it from us. We declined, tried bullying us into getting rid of it. I told him where he could stick that idea, and then I caught him trying to dismantle the bed. Locked all bedroom doors after that. Now desperate, he called social services and implied elder abuse. When social services came over, they found out that the only abuse in the house was being caused by the elder. He told them he'd actually brought them there to order us to get rid of the bed. Boy, were they pissed for having their time wasted. SS suggested we moved out into a less toxic environment. So within months, we found a house, bought it, renovated part of it, and got the hell out of Dodge. My mother-in-law told me that when father-in-law found out we bought a house and were actually moving out, his eyes bugged and his jaw hit the floor. Apparently he thought we were broke and therefore trapped and living with them out of necessity rather than loyalty. So he felt he could treat us however he wanted. He was furious that his favourite playthings were leaving him. It took us several months to move out, and the closer we came to leaving, the more irate father-in-law became. He ordered us to stay, he ordered us to rent our new house out and continue living there, to let him keep our son. On the last week, he threw a tantrum that would have embarrassed a 2-year-old and threatened to call CPS, the police, and dramatically told my husband to just kill him and put him out of his misery if we left. Try living with that for over 25 years. Holy crap. You know, this is going to sound bad, but obviously I haven't been through what you've been in all this time. I kind of felt a little bit sorry for the father-in-law. You know, I imagine a lot of that stuff, although totally misguided, ignorant and shitty, was out of some form of love for his grandson, because he obviously cares deeply. He wanted to give him treats, chocolate, McDonald's, and I know it's not an excuse in any way. And he was concerned about the bed. He obviously read up about something containing formaldehyde in it, which I know. He shouldn't have gone for all that, but it's obviously some place out of love. That's the only inkling of, like, sorry I felt for him in that. But I totally get where you're coming from, you know. You can't live with that shit. I love the story though, that you hid the remote for him. I'd love to see someone's face when you're doing that and you're all rolling around the floor laughing, which probably wound him up even more. Fair play to you, and thank you so much for sharing that story. Much love.